Hello again, and welcome to Radio Free HPC. This is where we talk about supercomputing, high-performance computing, and other technology topics. I'm your Toastmaster, Rich Bruckner from Inside HPC, with my co-hosts, Dan Olds from Gabriel Consulting, and Henry Newman from Instrumental. Now let's get to the show.
Hooray!
All right, guys. Well, hey, welcome back. We're back in the new year at Radio Free HPC. Welcome, Dan and Henry.
Hey, Rich, how's it going?
It's good to see you. Hope you had a good holiday.
It was tremendous. It was good to take some light time, but HPC keeps marching along, and I wanted to talk to you guys today about something I just posted on Inside HPC. It was an interview with Andy Bechtolsheim, kind of an interesting melange of topics, but he talked about where he thought Sun lost its focus. But the piece I wanted to ask you guys about is he had this thread about what it takes to be successful in technology markets. And I don't. Did you see the talk?
Rich, I just looked at it, and it was very interesting. I enjoyed it. Thanks for posting it.
Yeah. It's interesting because they're putting it in the context of when he launched Sun, right? He helped launch Sun as a co-founder. From an engineering perspective, it was not a risky launch, but from an investor perspective, it probably was risky given where the market was at that time, and it turned out to be a big bet that paid off.
Sure.
Well, it paid off for a while. I mean,
a long while.
Yeah, about 25 years.
About 25 years, absolutely.
Which is a long damn time in this business.
And I think it made a number of millionaires out of people.
Quite a number. More than a few handfuls.
But not the people like me who joined in 2000, however. I don't think there were many of us there. But
didn't do all that much for those of us that got bought when with Cray either. The thing is, it did do a lot. It was this meteoric rise up, and I can remember calculating what I might have been worth at one point, but that was before the vesting.
Yes.
After the vesting, round trip, if I would have still have been there. Yeah.
So a little bit of wisdom involved in getting out at the right time, but certainly way ahead of their time in terms of technology and seeing that the future was interconnected devices, right? They put the first workstation on the market that had Ethernet built in, and certainly a lot of the technologies that the internet is based on came out of Sun Microsystems.
And shared data, Rich. I mean,
shared
NFS.
Data. Yeah.
And sharing data. That was a big part of that whole value proposition at the time.
I would also argue that they're the personification of a good enough story too. I mean, you look at it when Sun started to emerge, they were significantly more primitive than everything else out there at the time, but the price points were right. Was a more open model then. There was a lot of innovation that could take place around the edges, and people started buying those things by the boatload. Both the workstations and the servers.
The workstations, the early workstations, were all Motorola based, weren't they?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But so Rich, I guess one of the comments I had from listening to that is, part of it is, marketing and engineering need to work together to place the right bets for the future. Sun was trying to do everything to be everything to everybody, from buying switch companies to buying X and Y and Z, and then there was no vision of, well, what can we do, what do we need to do, and what the customers really need, and as Dan, you said, you made the comment, to be good enough. Well, good enough in some markets isn't necessarily good enough in other markets. So when you're just good enough to do market A, B, or C, you might not be good enough for X, Y, or Z. And if you're trying to expand into that market and you don't understand it, I saw a lot of that. And I see a lot of that for a lot of companies.
And certainly, the world changes, and one of the things Andy was bringing up is that they kind of diluted their engineering resources on projects that never came to fruition in terms of making money. Right?
But who made those decisions?
I don't know. Those are not engineering decisions to make, right?
No.
That takes market research and all kinds of other.
And it does, in some degrees, it takes some visionary engineering to see what the market's going to bear, both on the hardware and software side. And, some of the things Sun did with software were pretty, with Solaris in the early days, in the early 90s, was pretty spectacular for an operating system. But then they tried to build their own video cards and all kinds of stuff instead of, going back to the roots. Well, we got an 8086, or whatever Motorola chip or whatever they were using, and, getting it instead of, reinventing the wheel.
I would also say that towards the end there, they weren't pursuing the markets that got them to where they were. In fact, they literally said a couple of times that, we're not so interested in data centers anymore. We're not so interested in supplying gear for companies and organizations to be more efficient. What we want you to do is to use they didn't call it a cloud then, but their utility model, and run your stuff in our data center. Well, customers weren't much interested in that. Even
before that, Dan, SGI ate their lunch in a lot of areas where Sun started in the HPC world, and or a lot of Sun was involved in the HPC world. If you went into the late 80s, there were Sun workstations everywhere. You went into the mid-late 90s, there were SGI workstations everywhere. Sun gave that market up.
Yeah, but SGI was pretty much hollowed out by then because Sun took away all the large systems from them.
No, Power Challenge was a game changer for SGI.
How'd the Origin do?
Not so well good.
Yeah.
Not as well as the Power Challenge.
Yeah, to an extent, but once Sun started to get big and commercial, SGI went down pretty quickly from there. Why are we tangenting off into SGI?
I don't know, but I think the important thing is to look at this in terms of today and what lessons can technology companies look at this and learn from, right?
The main lesson that needs to be impressed again and again and again, it's something Henry said not too long ago, and I think in our pre-call, that companies need to design and bring out products that meet customer needs, not necessarily their immediate needs, but also their future needs, some of the needs that they don't anticipate they have. And that's where they have to put their chips, so to speak.
Is that a good wrap?
I think so.
That's it for this edition of Radio Free HPC. Thank you for listening, and be sure to check back often for new episodes. Also, check out our website for more content, links, and a place for you to let us know what you think about the show. We're at radiofreehpc.com. Thanks again. We'll be back with another exciting episode real soon.